First at 5. From the University of Florida's College of Journalism and Communications, you're watching WUFT News.
Welcome to First at 5. I'm Ashley Weinstein.
And I'm Jake Reyes. Thank you for joining us. We begin with a developing story out of South Florida tonight. The discovery of 4 people dead, including a child. 2 other children sparred from the violence.
This happened in the Brevard County community of Canaveral Groves. That's east of Orlando.
WUFT's Emily Palazzotto joins us with what investigators have uncovered so far.
Guys, this death investigation has been unfolding since early this morning. The 2 victims are 2 women, a man, and a young female. Their ages have not been released. Taking a look at aerial footage from the scene, deputies say 2 small children were in this home and survived this, quote, extremely horrific incident. The Brevard County Sheriff says one of the children alerted an adult on a video call, and that person raced to the house and called 911. The sheriff says the incident was not random, and there is no threat to the public.
We do believe that this is, in fact, we're absolutely certain that this is an isolated incident. This is not a random act. We believe this is an isolated incident, and so there's no cause for concern throughout the rest of our community that this might happen somewhere else.
Sheriff Wayne Ivey says he cannot release any other details of what will be a lengthy investigation. I'm continuing to monitor this developing story, and if we gather any new information during this newscast, I'll bring it to you.
New information in the case of a murdered Orlando TV reporter. The fundraising drive for Dylan Lines now tops $75,000 on the GoFundMe page. His family says they hope to cover funeral costs and start a scholarship in his name. Dylan is known in the Gainesville area for his previous years of work for TV 20. 19-year-old Keith Moses is now charged with Lines' murder and a 3rd murder. Detectives have also spelled out a timeline for 3 murder scenes. Moses is accused of first shooting a woman while inside a car with his cousin and the victims. Deputies say hours later he opened fire on an SUV, killing Lines and injuring his photographer as they were covering the first murder. The affidavit says Moses then invaded a nearby home, shooting a mom and fatally shooting her daughter. The GoFundMe for the 9-year-old Tiana Major is now above the goal of $50,000.
Today, the governor's office demanded answers from the state attorney about Moses' criminal history and how prosecution of those cases were handled. The sheriff's office says the teenager has been a long rap sheet and 8 felony arrests and 11 misdemeanor arrests. An Alachua County effort to keep a local woman from ever owning animals again has been delayed. Animal enforcement agents removed more than 12 cats from a home after they were found living in filth.
47 pages of court records reveal felines living in harsh conditions under the supervision of Patricia Garibaldi, a warning that some of the details of this story may be disturbing. 15 cats were taken away from the home by animal enforcement, 13 alive and 2 dead. An Alachua County report described the living environment as deplorable, with an excessive amount of trash, cat feces, and an infestation of bugs. The report indicates many cats had severe flea infestation, multiple animals missing teeth, and 1 missing an eye. Garibaldi was originally set to appear in court this morning, but the case got pushed back to Monday. Her lawyer, Chelsea James, says it's delayed because of a Florida statute that rules the case is still within the 30-day time period since the petition was filed. But Alachua County Representative Diana Johnson says it's because James isn't a licensed attorney in Florida. She's a member of the Colorado Bar.
Florida manatee deaths this winter are above 700, making it the 2nd worst season of losses. That's despite a special program to set out lettuce at a gathering spot that now lacks enough seagrass to feed the winter herd. Manatee deaths surged above 1,000 last year, in part because of the poor water quality and depleted seagrass beds in the Indian River Lagoon. Last winter, FWC and its federal counterpart set out 202,000 pounds of lettuce. They're doing it again, and FWC said it's ready to respond to any more cold fronts this month. The manatees are starting to leave the lagoon and its warm weather from a nearby power plant and head out to other areas. FWC says there are 82 rescued manatees currently in rehab. Jake, with the sun out, it's been so nice, and it looks like it's going to be a great evening for the baseball game.
Oh yeah, maybe I might as well head out there. We'll have to see with the forecast. WUFT's Julia Haley joins us now with the weather. Julia, how's it looking?
It's a good night for baseball.
Ashley, Jake, it is a good night for baseball, and happy March 1st. Although we're still in winter, it does feel a little like spring, sitting in the 80s. 83 for Gainesville was our high today, and 84 even for Ocala, 85 for Daytona. Now we do have those westerly winds pushing in that heat from the Gulf, currently sitting in the 80s all around north central Florida. And outside of our studio, seeing those blue skies, perfect day to go outside with those clouds as well. 84 degrees outside of our studio with some wind gusts. Now, if you are going to the baseball game, by the time that first pitch occurs, it's going to be around 79 degrees outside, and we'll talk a little bit about stargazing later in my forecast. Back to you.
Thanks, Julia. Florida Governor Ron DeSantis launched his new book at an event in Venice. In his speech, the governor talked about his bold leadership over the past few years. That is also one of the themes of his new book, which is out now. The book is called Courage to be Free, Florida's Blueprint for an American Revival. The governor is going on a nationwide book tour with stops in Miami and Naples today. Political experts see it as a precursor for a presidential run. President Biden's plan to erase student loan debt for millions of Americans remains tied up in the legal system. NBC's Bree Jackson tells us what Supreme Court justices said about the two cases before them.
Student debt has got to go, hey, hey!
A showdown at the Supreme Court. The financial future of millions with student loan debt on the line.
It definitely weighs on my mind.
I made the financial decision for myself to go to the university where I would have the least amount of debt.
The High Court heard arguments Tuesday over President Biden's student debt forgiveness plan. It would erase up to $10,000 for people earning less than $125,000 per year and up to $20,000 for Pell Grant recipients. Conservative justices, they're skeptical.
Along comes the government and tells that person, you don't have to pay your loan.
Liberal justices question whether the challengers, 6 Republican-led states and 2 people with student loan debt, even have the legal standing to sue, and expressed sympathy for debt holders.
They don't have friends or families or others who can help them make these payments. The evidence is clear that many of them will have to default.
Part of the argument, the president overstepped his authority by taking action without congressional approval. Lawmakers are divided.
The president's student loan giveaway will do nothing to address the root of the problem, and that is soaring college costs. In fact, it's likely to make things worse.
90% of the relief going to out-of-school borrowers will go to those earning less than $75,000 a year. This is not some giveaway to the rich. That's utter bull.
The High Court is expected to rule on the matter by the end of June. In Washington, Bree Jackson, NBC News.
I spent the morning in middle school looking at some microscopic monsters, and I have to say, I think these 6th graders know some things we don't.
Ashley, you're always finding out things, and I'm so interested to hear all about it later in this show. Coming up on WUFT's News First at 5.
You're watching WUFT TV News.
Welcome back. Santa Fe College kicks off the first day of Women's History Month by honoring and uplifting local women leaders. SFC hosted its Women of Distinction and Promise Luncheon at UF's Hilton Conference Center. Over 190 outstanding local women have been honored since 1987. A 2009 honoree served as Master of Ceremonies this time.
The women we celebrate are selfless, and the recognition today is just one way for Santa Fe College to honor and to just say to them how much we appreciate all that they do.
Over $200,000 have been raised for the Santa Fe Women of Distinction Scholarship Fund. The scholarships empower women to achieve their academic goals in the pursuit of independence. And you may recognize some of the names from this year's honorees. They've been giving back to their communities across multiple disciplines, including education, service, and medicine. SFC focuses this award on women from Alachua and Bradford counties.
Habitat for Humanity Marion County will host its 8th annual Strawberry Festival on Saturday. As WUFT's Francis Kapper reports, the event gives back to the community one foundation at a time.
A ticket counter, but no patrons yet. Soon, that will change. It's time for the Strawberry Festival.
It could change people's lives, like us building a house for a homeowner. Like, that's a big impact on their lives.
Around 30 volunteers donated their time to fundraise to build houses for those in need through Habitat for Humanity.
Because some people didn't come from a silver spoon, so they need more help and guidance than others.
Senior project manager Jeff Ruttenberg enjoys watching the growth of the program.
We have 11 homes last year that we built. This year we're going to have 15 here. And so we're growing rapidly.
Future Habitat for Humanity homeowner Vieta Carter is grateful for their opportunity.
Just having the enjoyment and meeting new people and having that fresh start of becoming a new homeowner. So that's what the program's all about.
All of the funds will be used to build a home. It will be dubbed the Strawberry House. Francis Kapper, WUFT News.
Habitat ordered 1,300 flats of strawberries for this year's event. The festival is Saturday from 9 to 5 at the Marion County McPherson Government Complex.
You know, that's, such an amazing cause, but I can't get those strawberries out of my head. I love strawberry season, so I'm ready to go out there and start picking them and munching them.
Oh, I love strawberries as well, but I wonder what the weather is going to be on Saturday.
Yeah.
Julia, how's it looking?
Yeah, well, as of right now, we are expecting a cold front to pass through, which may affect your strawberry picking. I'll have more on those weekend storms in a few minutes. No fun on Mount Baldy today. Californians are finding the road to the popular area is blocked off by an avalanche. And even the San Bernardino Mountains took in 5 to 8 feet of snow within the recent days. Wow, it's insane. We currently have this low pressure system rotating counterclockwise, bringing those snowstorms to the California area and areas around that as well. But here in Gainesville, we are currently seeing those sunny skies lasting for another day. Those temps are currently sitting in the 80s all over the southeast, 80 for Tampa, 80 for Orlando, and even 83 for Jacksonville. Now in north central Florida, we are currently seeing those 80s stay due to this warm wind moving from the west to the east over our area. And outside of our studio, currently getting ready for baseball as we are seeing a drop in temperatures from the upper 70s to the 60s. Now we do have that patchy fog for the morning also this evening. Really excited as we do have the Jupiter and Venus conjunction, which means you'll see both of the brightest planets shining brightly throughout the evening just around sunset, so 6:28 p.m. and you can see those stars shine brightly for a little bit longer as they are the closest that they will be for a while. Now into Thursday morning, expecting that fog around most of the area sitting in the 60s, and then seeing that fog last. It's going to be a little dense, a little patchy as well, so you may not be able to see for the morning. Make sure to take those precautions. Now those severe storms are possible for this week as we do have this area being impacted. So around Louisiana and Texas, they are going to have an impact with tornadoes, possibly damaging winds and large hail for their Thursday. For us, more sun, also more heat, staying in the mid 80s overall. And throughout the weekend, watching a cold front move through, seeing some showers in the panhandle. And then as that cold front moves through on Friday, getting another round of showers for your weekend. So it's going to start clouding up just a little bit. So Saturday, you have that next chance for fog, and then rising into the mid 80s, and same for Sunday as well with that sunny sky. And then for our pollen forecast, our tree pollen and our grass pollen is going to be very high, so you want to have your allergy meds ready if you can. And that dense fog is going to last on Thursday. Cold front bringing in rain for the weekend with a slight temp drop due to that cold front, rising back into the 80s by next week. Back to you.
Thank you, Julia. SpaceX and NASA are set to launch a mission to the International Space Station just after midnight. The first attempts for the crew was scrubbed minutes before blastoff on Monday. NASA said there was an unusual data signature with the fluid used to start the Falcon 9's rocket engines. A review found that a clogged filter caused the problem. The overnight launch is scheduled for 12:34 a.m., weather permitting. Gator women's basketball ended the season red hot.
I know, they're coming back winning back-to-back games.
Yeah, but let me tell you, the only thing that was on fire in the first round of the SEC tournament was that ejection after 2 Gators players and 2 Kentucky Wildcats for both teams were ejected from the game. We have that action and more next in sports.
You're watching WUFT-TV News.
Welcome to sports. I'm Chris Will. Florida women's basketball wrapped up the opening game of the SEC tournament just a little over an hour ago.
Players are running.
It was mayhem in Greenville with emotions running high. Gators forward Tatiana Weiss throws the ball at Kentucky's forward. 8 players were ejected from the game after a scuffle, and offensive struggles for Florida became quite apparent. In the fourth quarter, Kentucky did pull away 72-57. Kentucky will move on to face Alabama, and Florida will await the possible postseason bid. And on the men's side, Gators basketball took down Georgia last night. The rivalry win put former Florida head coach Mike White at 0-2 against the Gators this season. Sophomore transfer Will Richard had quite the day for the Gators, a career-high 24 points. That included 5 threes, got Richard and the Gators a much-needed 77-67 win against their SEC foe. The win snapped a 3-game losing streak for the Orange and Blue. It's the first win for the Gators since losing their all-SEC forward Colin Castleton to a broken hand in mid-February. Florida will close out its regular season on Saturday against LSU in the O-Dome. Tip-off for senior night is set for 6 p.m. The last time Florida baseball was at home, they hit a team record 8 home runs, and they're back at home tonight to take on Jacksonville University. WFT's Jensen Young joins us live from the Diamond with more on tonight's game.
Thanks, Chris. I'm here at the Conjure Family Ballpark where the Gators are warming up to take on the Jacksonville Dolphins once again. These two teams matched up yesterday in a game that saw the Gators win in an offensive showcase. Some of the best performances came from the top bats on the team. Wyatt Langford has been unmatched all season, leading to some MLB experts saying that he could be the #1 pick in this upcoming MLB draft. Believe it or not, the junior outfielder had one of the best performances of his collegiate career. Langford knocked a career-high 4 hits in addition to a walk, 2 runs, and a home run. And though his collegiate career is only 9 games so far, freshman Cade Curlin looked like a seasoned veteran star. The second baseman reached base 4 times and scored 4 times in his 6 at-bats, and the Gators took the victory 18-8. The Gators have scored 13 or more runs in each of the last 4 games and in 6 of the team's 9 games this season. In 66 games last season, the Gators scored 13 or more just 8 times. Taking the mound today will be Yoel Tejeda. First pitch is at 6, and the Gators look for their 6th straight victory against the Dolphins. Live from the Conjure Family Ballpark, I'm Jensen Young. Back to you, Chris.
Thanks, Jensen. And for Florida fans dying for some more college football, mark your calendars for 7:30 p.m. on Thursday, April 13th. That's when Florida will kick off their spring game. Florida will soon be the sole program in the national spotlight on that day. Miami is scheduled for the 14th, with Ohio State, Clemson, FSU, and Georgia competing on the 15th. But if you want to see some former Gators in action, the NFL Combine kicks off tomorrow. Defensive linemen and linebackers will work out for NFL scouts tomorrow in Indy. Former Gators taking the field tomorrow include defensive lineman Brenton Cox Jr. and Jervon Dexter, and representing the linebackers are Ventrell Miller, who will be in attendance after procedure on his foot. Quarterback Anthony Richardson will also be in action on Saturday. He will be a full participant. Now, after a girls' basketball state championship was brought home to Hawthorne just days ago, the quest for a basketball sweep begins tonight at the boys' Class 1A state championships. Hawthorne took down Newberry in the regional final to book their ticket to Lakeland. 2 clutch free throws from sophomore CJ Ingram gave the Hornets a 43-41 win. They'll take on 20-6 Chipley Tigers tonight at 8. And if the stars align, we could have an all-area final in Class 1A. The Williston Red Devils have a dominant 23-7 record on the year. They're led by senior Greg Maxwell's team leading 19 points, 6 rebounds, and 4 assists per game. The Red Devils will bring in a 6-game win streak to Lakeland as they take on Franklin County at 6. That's your look at sports. I'm Chris Will.
Jake, I feel like you were that kid in middle school that always had like a hand sanitizer.
No, Ashley, I think that was you.
Okay, you got me there. And I made sure to carry this one with me today at the Lincoln Middle School Germ Museum. 6th graders showcased creativity and knowledge through microscopic monsters. Student scientists set up 15 interactive stations and 30 animations displaying bacteria, viruses, worms, and more. Community members and parents came and saw the models and scientific findings at the museum. I had the privilege of attending the museum, and those kids were brilliant. I was so impressed. Let's take one last look at the weather.
Outside of our studio, we are currently seeing those sunny skies, so perfect night to go outside and see Jupiter and Venus close together. Now, if you take a look at our 6th day, currently seeing that dense fog for the morning and then having that cold front rising once again for the rest of the week. Back to you.
Thank you, Julia. BBC World News is next, and PBS NewsHour is coming up at 7.
But remember, your Florida news is always on at WUFT.org. Have a great night.